Hello everyone, my name is Devin. This is my grandpa and thank you for tuning to my channel, Devin's Mastermind. So grandpa, so what we're going to get into today, we're going to get into the Cowboys Buccaneers game. As you know, that game came on Thursday, the Buccaneers won. Then we're going to get into the games last night and some of the games that are on right now. So first of all, I want to get into the Cowboys Buccaneers game. As you know, the Buccaneers won 31-29 against the Cowboys. What were your thoughts on that game?
My thoughts on that game, I saw a lot of penalties that should have been called and wasn't called.
Oh yeah.
And that goes back to the referees again. The same stuff happens every year, more so in the pros than it does college football. Now, what do you think compared to what I just said?
Well, what I think yeah, football is it's done got boring because you know the teams that should be wanting to win and they be so close, but then the referees don't be calling the plays like they should, and it just makes you mad. And at times it's like you love football, but then at times it's like, oh my God, like why these referees suck at calling the game way more than what they used to.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, and I don't get mad. It's just that I think that they can do something about it if they want to. I had a guy tell me once upon a time that a friend of mine told me, and I didn't believe it at first, but now I do. He told me, he said, a guy told him that there's a penalty every play. They could call it if they want to, but you ask yourself a question, why don't they call it? Wouldn't be much of a football game if they did. So I've been putting that in my mind and trying to come up with an answer because I don't too much believe that part of what he said. It won't be much of a game. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts is, I feel like the referees. I feel like sometimes I think those coaches from that team that gets that play. I think they pay, like we all know the coaches pay the referees. I'm sure to kind of make that game not fair and all that stuff. So that's how I see it, because when the Buccaneers and the Cowboys played, there was supposed to be an offensive pass interference call on the Buccaneers on Chris Godwin, because what he did was when he was catching it, he had kind of like pushed his hand out, and of course they will call offensive pass interference if you push your hand out and then catch it. Mm-hmm. So I felt like that play really should have been called, because then of course the Cowboys would have won that game 29-28.
I agree.
I think.
Yeah, and that's what I'm basing mine on. That came the thought to my mind when we was looking at the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. I'm saying, wait a minute, if that ain't a push-off, I don't understand what it is. Mm-hmm. Why? And I know the officials had to see it. So that's where I'm talking about. Something like that could cause the other team to lose the game. So, and I know they saw it. If I see it on TV, you can see it too. A play like that should have been called 15-yard penalty. Why? It makes a difference in the game if you call it. But you don't know how the next play going to come around. Yeah. So why didn't they call it?
And there's
I know they saw it.
And there's plenty of play like the Saints and the Rams back in the 2018 NFC Championship. Mm-hmm. Them referees knew that was pass interference, so they never called it. And those Saints, and I know those Saints, I was mad because I was like, okay, yeah, even though we wanted the Rams to win because they went to the Super Bowl that year, but that was really like a bad call. That was probably one of the worst calls in the history of the football game and all that stuff. And then next year, like the Saints, folks were thinking that they were haunted because they kept getting those calls in each of their playoff games, and they kept on losing, and then it was a heartbreaking loss and all that stuff. So I just think football isn't as the time to pass. It hasn't been fair to those teams that want to win.
And it's not going to get any better. It's just, you use the word fair, and the way that I look at it is the teams is so important these days, and the guys that playing the game, they're not getting a fair shake, and they see the same thing we're discussing now, but they don't have no input. They don't have nothing to say about it. Yeah. They can get there on the sideline, they get mad, and they say something, but if they say too much, they get kicked out of the game and they have to go in the back. Mm-hmm. And it's ridiculous that they don't have any input, and they don't. So they just have to go with the flow.
Yeah.
So, and nothing can be did about it. I think that something can be did about it if they really want to put their foot down, and do something about it. And the coach, his word don't mean nothing on the sideline. And the officials got the last say so, and ain't nothing you can do about it. But like I said, I think they can.
Yeah, like you be saying, the officials, they're the game. They win the game.
That's right.
Not that team or that other team. It's the officials win the game, like you said.
That's right. I'm a strong believer in that. The officials can win the game, they can lose the game.
Yeah.
I'm a strong believer in it.
And then that targeting call is really getting on my nerves.
Yeah.
Targeting and trying to, it's hard to lower your helmet, especially let's just say somebody's also going down kind of with you, and then you're trying your best to get as low as you can, but unfortunately, that targeting call is just, ugh.
You got your momentum going too, and it's hard when you got your momentum going. You got to concentrate on your momentum going. You got to know where to put your head at.
Yeah. Be on the lookout.
And I'm saying, wait a minute here, that's not targeting.
Mm-hmm.
Then you gotta take your helmet. The other thing you gotta, if you get in on a tackle and your helmet pop off, it's not that nobody, snatches it off.
Yeah.
It just pops off. That don't mean you gotta go off the field, but that's the rules, so you gotta go about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And next up, I want to get into, of course, college football last night.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, it was a good bit of upsets. The biggest one was Oregon and Ohio State. So what's your thoughts on that?
Proves my point. That proves my point that you can be beat at any given time. There's no such thing as I ain't playing nobody or we're not playing nobody. Yes, you are. You're playing a game of football.
You playing
and it be proven every year. Just because a team done lost 5 or 6 games that year, that don't mean they're going to come back next year and do the same thing.
Yeah, because it's...
And it get proven. There's no such thing. You can be beat at any given time. I say it every year. But a lot of people don't believe it.
Mm.
And it happens. Look at Georgia. Georgia's not one of the teams that's like that, but what I'm saying, nobody wasn't looking at Georgia to beat Clemson. And now it was a toss-up for me. See?
Yeah.
I didn't know what Clemson had as good players, how many they kept, seniors. I didn't know how many Georgia seniors was gone, but there were a lot of them gone on both sides. Mm-hmm. So in other words, looking at that game, I didn't put in my mind that Clemson going to beat Georgia, Georgia going to beat Clemson. I just let it go with the flow.
Yeah.
That's the way I did it. Well, I'm glad it turned out like it did. See? So, what's you?
So, you hit that on there. Like, when South Carolina beat Georgia in 2019, they had won 20-17, remember, in double overtime. Nobody was expecting that to happen. And then, of course, with Georgia and Clemson, it's a top 5 matchup. So, you don't know really what you're going to get. You don't know if it was going to be a defensive game or a shootout. I thought it was going to be maybe like a 24-10 kind of game, but fortunately it wasn't. So, yeah.
But on the other hand, if it had been the other way, you can imagine what people, I know Georgia wasn't going to beat Clemson. That's the way it would have turned out. That's what people would have been saying. Percentage-wise, they were looking for Georgia to lose.
Georgia was ready to play.
Yeah.
Ready.
Yeah.
They were like, we're going to lose this big game.
And the second quarterback, that many times in the game, that ought to be a record all over college football. Because I hadn't heard, and I was waiting for it to come up, that's 7 times. Mm-hmm. That should have been a record. I never known no college team to sack no quarterback 7 times in one game. And they did.
Yeah.
So, how many times they got to our quarterback? Once, wasn't it? Once or twice.
Yeah.
But 7 times, Jesus. That ought to be a record. And I'm still waiting for the outcome to let us know. Other than that, I'm satisfied the way it turned out.
Me too, yeah.
Because there was a lot of people that was not looking for Georgia to win that game. All in all, it was a defense game all the way. It was a good game. I like games like that.
Yeah.
Good game.
And that Ohio State Oregon game was crazy because
man.
I was thinking I was on Oregon and Ohio State, both of them are my favorite teams, but I was like, a lot of folks saying, Ohio State gonna run over them. I kind of knew it was gonna be a tight game, but then for Oregon to do what they did, and then Ohio State, I think they just weren't ready. Defensively, they sucked. Now, offensively, they were good, but defensively, they were bad. And all that stuff. They let that running back C.J. Verdell, who I think is a great running back and should be the top running back because I haven't seen him plenty of times play. He'll be having 200-yard games, but he had 150 carries for 2 touchdowns and then 3 receptions for 34 yards and a touchdown. So that's 195 all-purpose yards he had. It was crazy for Ohio State. And that shakes up the college football race because now Oregon's probably they're likely to be in the top 5. Ohio State's gonna probably be around 10, 11. So
I don't know about that because Ohio State ain't one of them teams that you don't keep pushing over on them.
I mean, I know that.
You don't keep pushing over. When they come back out this weekend, if they play this weekend, you bet it's gonna be a change.
Yeah, but Ohio State has a tough schedule. You gotta look at that in the Big Ten. They got
ain't
Penn
gonna
State.
let you keep pushing over them like that.
No, they got Penn State.
Yeah, well,
Michigan State, all the teams, Michigan kind of.
well, Penn State still ain't up to par like they supposed to be.
But that was because they had.
But they still playing some good football. But they ain't up to par like they're supposed to. They still got a lot hanging over their head from a few years ago when they had all that stuff going on up there. With the coach and what. They hadn't got out of all that yet. It's still so that ain't got well yet.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, I heard about that story. It was one of the craziest stories in the history.
They got he's still in jail.
No, he died. They said
he did.
I think Paterno or whatever he had. Because he
No,
was
not him. The other Paterno had him got out and retired. I'm talking about the one that took his place.
James Franklin,
whatever his name.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. He was in prison.
Well, it was a lot of upsets last night. Like Texas lost to Arkansas 40-21.
Oh, man, Arkansas.
And that was crazy.
Them hoes really surprised me.
I mean, I was rooting for them to win because, of course, they're in the SEC. But when I saw that, I was like, dang,
them hoes ain't did nothing in years. But last night, well, as far as just beating a regular team, but as far as going to,
how they did
get announced for a bowl bid or something like that. It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while. But they surprised me last night. And they almost lost it.
Lost it.
What was the score?
The score was 40-21.
What now?
The score 40-21, Grandpa. They were one time.
They were one with 40.
40, yeah. Arkansas
Okay,
scored 40.
I got them mixed up with somebody else.
Texas was 21.
I got them mixed up with somebody else.
Arkansas
So they played Texas, didn't they?
Yeah, and everybody's saying now Texas ain't ready for the SEC. Oklahoma probably is, but Texas ain't.
Well, Texas used to be. Was Texas ever in the SEC?
No.
Back in the day?
I mean, probably, but then, no, they actually been in the Big 12 for a long time because,
I got them mixed up with somebody else.
Yeah, because back in the 1950s, they
were
were in the
surprised
South.
to do Texas like that, though. It's still a surprise to do Texas like that. I'm telling you, when I was looking at the preview this morning, I said, no, there ain't no way. Not Arkansas, but then again, I thought about what I'm always telling y'all. You can be beat at any given time by anybody.
Now, I do be going to root for the underdogs at times, depending on what that
I
team
wasn't rooting
is.
for Arkansas over Texas, though. No.
Yeah, Texas.
That shut me up there.
Yeah, definitely. Texas need to stay in the Big 12. They don't need to go
They
to
trying
the
to get in the SEC.
Texas, Oklahoma are supposed to join the SEC in 2025.
But that's gonna be a hard thing. That's gonna be if they want to get in the SEC, it's got to be somebody to take their place, and somebody in the SEC got to get out.
They got 4 teams. The Big 12 has 4 new teams. You got UCF, BYU, Cincinnati, and Houston.
You're taking away from the Big 8, the Big 10, the Big 12. Well, you know who the Big 8. Well, wait a minute.
The Big 8 used to be a conference, but it's not there no more.
That's
you
right.
got the Power 5.
See, that's my problem right there. I keep thinking. See, I'm so used to them teams still being there. See, and I ain't got used to them getting out. Why they still messing with this? A lot of people don't want them to mess with it. We was talking about that way the other day. Leave it alone.
They don't want
to.
to.
But they don't want to leave it alone. And the point that they don't want to, don't nobody know.
And that's how college football is. It's turning. I mean, you seeing Alabama winning the
championship. Why they messing with it though? What's the reason why they messing with it?
They don't, because what they're thinking is probably what they wanted, but it's not working. It's just not turning out the right way.
Is it about money?
Conference, probably.
Yeah. Well, it's
opinion about that. But money, period. Whether they mess with it or not.
But the SEC is the best conference.
Well,
everybody wants to be in there.
See, but
it's the junior NFL.
Yeah. It can't be about money. All the teams, all the conferences are making money. Period. You know where the money comes. You know who's making the money.
But they make more money in
it's
the
SEC. CFP people.
The bowl games at the end of the year. That's where I mean, besides the money that you getting before the bowls come around, I can remember when there wasn't these many bowls.
But it's the publicity as well, and
Like
the teams they playing.
And they change them every year.
Yeah.
You have to look at this college football playoff back then. Before, like I said, they had the BCS from 1998 to 2013, and then the other. And before, you just had AP national championships. You just had anybody really.
And you know what headache gonna come in there if you want to call it a headache, and it's gonna be one. What till they start messing with these high schools, and they're working on it too, buddy. Mm-hmm. They're working on it. They're working on high school with these dollars, and that is gonna cause problems.
Yeah.
The college already causing problems. They talking about paying them some money.
Yeah. Then they're talking about expanding the CFP to 12 teams. So
They always have told me if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Leave it alone. But man ain't gonna do that. Not long that dollar coming up. It ain't gonna happen. Mm-mm. It just ain't gonna happen. And I don't understand why they got to mess with something that's already working fine. Now they ain't gonna let the coaches have no say so about it. They can say they gonna let them have their say so about it, but they ain't gonna pay them no attention. Okay, you can let that air, hot air out, but other than that, you just a little fish just on the hook, buddy.
Yep.
That's all. We gonna do it. Baseball. How come they don't do it with them? They making just as much money.
They make a lot more.
Yeah, they do. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, but they don't have no problem. None whatsoever. Now soccer don't count, but it ain't that big in the United States. No. Old Cross Water, folks play soccer all year round. And filthy rich. Filthy rich. I don't get it.
I don't like soccer.
But they making it.
Yeah, I think they said Germany has a soccer team, but you don't want to know
You see
what kind of soccer team it is.
Because you see them stadiums, though, how big them stadiums are. Ooh-wee. Hold more people than a football field. Good. And so you know it's some money in there. You know, rich folks over there. Yeah, that's the way it go.
So, Grandpa, is there anybody you want to get a shout out to before we leave?
Yeah.
Who is?
Them hogs. Which I still can't. I just can't. Because they've been down in the tube so long. And we got to play them this year, if I'm mistaken.
Yeah, we got. But we play them at our house. But don't worry. All these SC teams, they're looking dangerous now. Especially Ole Miss. Like
well, it's too early to tell you.
Well, Ole Miss is. It ain't that too early.
Yeah, we got.
I can kind of tell.
I forgot about Ole Miss. Mississippi State.
Mississippi State, well, Ole Miss, got that quarterback Matt Corral supposed to be.
Which one do we play? Mississippi State or Ole Miss?
We don't play. I don't think we don't play.
We both played. One of them.
We played them last year and we beat Mississippi State 31-24.
Which one of them in the SEC?
Both.
Both of them in
Mississippi State and Ole Miss.
We used to didn't have one of them.
Well, you have the SEC East and the SEC West.
Right.
Georgia, Kentucky, Florida, Missouri.
They should have never done that either. Split them up. It was just one SEC period all the way down the line.
That's a Big 12 year.
But now they cut it. They did the West and they did the East. Do you remember that? You don't remember that, did you? They didn't have it one time.
Yeah.
But now, I said, man, okay. They doing so much now, I don't even keep up with it no more. Don't even care. They're doing so much to it now. But you see, the guys that we were talking about, man, one just trying to get his point across, why they should do it. The other trying to get his points across, why they shouldn't do it.
Yeah. And we're also.
It's going to be, I mean, what, back 2025?
Yeah, that's what they said. Yeah, that's when. And then they said UCF. I think they said BYU is going to join the Big 12 in 2023, and then the other three teams are going to join in 2024.
Man. BYU. Oh,
BYU, they can upset people. Don't forget that.
Yeah, but see what I'm saying? It ain't got nothing to do with what you just said. They can upset people. That ain't the point when they're trying to do it. See?
Yeah.
There's going to be some holes left in there. Some gaps left in there going to have to be filled.
You
robbing from Paul giving to Peter. That ain't going to work.
Amen.
See? They got to fill them holes some kind of way. Now, what you going to do with these small college teams? Like Georgia played yesterday.
UAB, they're the FCS or out of the Power 5 conference.
And they paid them.
South Georgia down the road down
to beat them.
What you gonna do with them? All small colleges everywhere.
Who don't rank?
what you gonna do with them? Every
Coach
time,
storyline, yeah.
every time you see all big teams that's up on top, you got to pick a college team, them small college teams. You got to play at least one of them every year. See,
Because I give them a
and
week.
you're knocking them out.
You see, I already know how this happens, and I think this goes for the Power 5 schools and conferences. You know, Georgia, for instance, they'll play 9 SEC teams or 8, and then what they'll do is they'll play 4 easy teams that are out of their non-conference.
Yes, to get that.
So, Grandpa, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?
What did I say? Well, who did I say a while ago? I want to give a shout out to the Hogs.
Yeah, the Hogs.
The Hogs surprised me. No joke. They really did. They surprised me. So my shout out goes, go Hogs.
All right. Yep, go Hogs.
And I love it.
And here's my shirt, Grandpa. Only got a shirt for my channel, Devin's Mastermind.
I like that.
Yeah.
Devin's Mastermind. That's all right. That's okay, then.
And as before I go, I wanted to also give a shout out to my football team. They signed this football for me when I was going through stuff. So I also wanted to get a shout out to them, and that's it. And everybody else, my mom, coaches,
that's beautiful,
and everything. And
I like that.
Yeah.
And we want to give a shout out also to our Aunt Sue.
Yeah, Mom.
Get well soon, Aunt Sue. We love you.
Yeah, love y'all.
Give one to Pat.
Bye.